Buenos días amigos, ¿cómo están? Aquí está en mi programa Buscando el Sueño Americano con Celia Estrada. El día de hoy hemos invitado a un abogado para que nos hable sobre el Foreigner Investment, que el programa se llama FERTA. Y ya ustedes han escuchado mucho sobre este programa, sobre cómo el gobierno o el IRS retiene un 15%. Pero antes de empezar mi programa, me gustaría dejarles saber cuáles son los requisitos que el banco le pide para que usted pueda comprar una casa. El banco le va a pedir lo siguiente: le van a pedir su declaración de impuestos de 2 años consecutivos, colillas o talones de cheque de un mes reciente, los estados de cuenta de banco de los últimos 2 meses. No necesitas tener crédito, pero si no tienes crédito te van a pedir cartas de referencia. Y las cartas pueden ser la luz, el agua, teléfono, seguro de carro, dish, cable celular, etcétera. Mínimo 3 cartas. Y si tienes crédito, pues no necesitas nada de esas cartas. Ahora, si tienes W7, te van a pedir, vas a tener que tener los mismos requisitos, con la diferencia que te van a pedir tu copia de tu Tax ID y una identificación de tu país vigente, ¿ok? Ahí están los requisitos y ahora vamos a presentar al abogado que se llama Miles Owens. Él trabaja para Lancaster, Schroeder, Pickett Owens. Están aquí en la Park Row, en la 4430 Park Row, y vamos a hablar sobre esta ley que ya ha salido de 1980, que antes no se usaba mucho acá, pero con todo lo que está pasando, muchas personas me han llamado que quieren vender su casa, que quieren regresar a su país, y pues estamos diciendo que el gobierno les va a retener un 15%, y vamos a preguntarle hoy día a Miles cómo trabaja este programa, qué personas son afectadas, y tal vez cómo podemos prevenir no pagar este 15%, porque es un montón de dinero. Entonces le quiero dar la bienvenida acá a Miles. Ahora toda la entrevista va a ser en inglés, voy a traducirlo, entonces nos va a demorar un poco más de lo normal. Good morning, Miles. Thank you for being here.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
No, thank you for accepting, because I know you guys are very busy, and I'm glad that you can give me some of your time. So today we want to talk about FERTA, which I call you many times, and we wrote back and forth. Many people that want to sell their homes, especially foreigners, and foreigners that have lost their status, because there's a lot of people that have work permits, and now they have not renewed their work permits for whatever reason, and many of them, they want to go back to their country and sell their properties. So, I'm going to translate. Ok, entonces lo que le estoy diciendo a él es que vamos a hablar sobre este programa FERTA, donde hay muchas personas que su estatus legal, por ejemplo, ha sido removido, como aquellas personas que tenían permiso de trabajo y ya no lo tienen, o su visa U que no lo han extendido, que son propietarios de casa, incluso gente que ha comprado con W7 y por la situación actual se quieren regresar a su país y vender la casa. Pero hemos escuchado mucho que les van a retener un 15%, entonces ahora él nos va a hablar al respecto. Entonces las preguntas se las voy a hacer primero en inglés y de ahí las vamos a traducir en español. Y si usted tiene alguna pregunta, nos puedes mandar un mensaje por WhatsApp al 980-722-9298. Okay, the first question, what is FERTA and what is the primary purpose? Ahora, la pregunta es, ¿qué es FERTA y cuál es el propósito de este programa?
So, FERPTA stands for the Foreign Investments in Real Property Tax Act. The purpose of FERPTA, similar to merely any government program, is, well, how can we achieve and acquire taxes, right? So the purpose of FERPTA is really how can the government ensure that they're going to get any taxes from the sale of real property from people who are not tax-paying citizens, right?
Okay.
So, in what it puts is the requirement on the settlement agent and the buyer in the real estate transaction to collect those taxes that they would likely have, the government would likely have received at closing, because the expectation is that they're not going to file a tax return, essentially.
Okay, so I'm going to translate.
Yep.
So, la razón, dice, de este programa es porque el gobierno quiere asegurarse de colectar el dinero que usted le va a deber a la hora de la venta de la casa, especialmente si usted vende y se quiere ir del país y no pagar este dinero al gobierno. Entonces ellos se aseguran que el día del cierre le van a retener una cierta cantidad, que es el 15%, ya había dicho anteriormente, y generalmente este dinero pues lo colecta el IRS. El programa se llama FERTA, pero el IRS es prácticamente el que colecta su dinero, ¿ok? Bueno, entonces la segunda pregunta, second question is, what does FERTA apply in, when does FERTA apply in real estate transaction? Okay, perdón, excuse me. So, ¿cuándo se aplica este programa en una transacción inmobiliaria? Go ahead.
Simply put, the seller is considered a foreign person under the FERPTA Tax Act.
Okay.
right? So there are exceptions to
Mhm.
whether if somebody is a foreign person,
Mhm.
and we do not have to, and FERPTA no longer applies, or there's an
Mhm.
exception to FERPTA.
Mhm.
Those situations are if the purchase price is less than $300,000 and the buyer will be using the property as a primary residence, or the seller meets the substantial presence test, which
We just
sim-
not gonna talk about it, so
Yes.
don't go too ahead of
Okay, I won't jump too far ahead. I won't jump too far ahead.
Okay.
So I'll leave it at that.
That's
I'll leave
right,
it at
because we got like
that.
100 more questions about this.
So basically, if the seller is a foreign person, FERPTA applies unless they meet the exceptions,
Okay.
which is under $300,000 and the buyer is using the property as a primary
Mhm.
residence, or the substantial presence test is met.
Ok, entonces él dice que generalmente esto aplica para personas que son de inversionistas extranjeros. En este caso, usted que ha tenido o tiene un tax ID o compró, usted se considera un inversionista extranjero. Entonces, a no ser que el precio sea bajo los $300,000 y el comprador viva en la casa, que no sea un inversionista, entonces esto no le va a aplicar a usted. Entonces, ahora vamos a hablar sobre un precio más elevado, ¿no? Y por qué aquí el comprador tendría que ser también comprar para que él viva, porque es ilógico, no debería afectarle, ¿no? Me imagino, o sea, es ilógico esto, pero vamos a preguntarle esto. So you say in 300,000 and then the buyer has to live in the house. Why does it have to affect the buyer if this is the seller?
It's a great question, and I would have to ask the drafters of the FERPTA Tax Act in order for me to be able to actually
Okay.
answer that question. But the idea, at least behind the threshold of $300,000, is that there's not. My speculation, based on just doing a little bit of research, is that there's just not enough for the federal government to take a vested interest in it. So that's their arbitrary number they've come up with. But as far as the buyer requiring to live in the property, great question. I would ask the drafters of the statute myself, because I don't understand why that's a requirement itself.
Okay. Entonces la pregunta hacia él fue por qué el comprador tendría que estar afectado si el dueño bajo 300,000 no se lo puede vender a un inversionista, y él lo que dice pues que él no sabe, que eso fue el estatus de la manera que lo crearon y desafortunadamente no hay manera de darle la vuelta a esto, ¿no? Okay, Miles. So my next question is, I think we talked about who is considered to be a foreign person under FERTA, ¿no? Entonces la pregunta es, ¿a quién es considerado una persona extranjera bajo FERTA? So you did mention before foreigners.
Yes. Yeah. So what is a foreign person, right? And the statute defines it as someone who is a U.S. citizen or a resident alien, which is going to be which they define as someone who holds a green card, or someone who can qualify under the substantial presence test.
Okay.
So those would be the individuals who would be considered a resident alien and are not subject to FERPTA.
Okay. Entonces, ¿quiénes son considerados bajo este programa? Bueno, aquellas personas, como le expliqué anteriormente, que tienen su tax ID, que perdieron tal vez el estatus legal, personas que son ciudadanos, residentes o que tienen un estatus legal aquí en este país, no están afectados bajo este programa. Pero igual, si ustedes tienen una pregunta, siempre pueden llamar aquí en las oficinas del abogado. What is your number here? Your telephone number?
Yeah, number 704-525-1702.
Okay, so they work trabajan de 9 a 5, so you guys work from 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
It doesn't feel like 9 to 5, so
I know you guys work all the time, but for you people, para ustedes, 9 to 5, de 9 a 5, si tienen alguna pregunta al respecto, si estás pensando vender tu casa, nos puedes llamar también al 980-722-9298. Aquí estamos en mi programa Buscando el Sueño Americano con Celia Estrada. Celia Estrada Realtors lleva más de 30 años ayudando a familias a ser propietarios de casa. Si usted está pensando en comprar, vender tu casa, nos puedes llamar otra vez a nuestros números 980-722-9298. Trabajamos los 7 días de la semana con cita. Estamos ubicados en la 2718 Eastway Drive, aquí en Charlotte, entre la Central y la Eastway Drive. Okay, so my next question, la próxima pregunta, what are the obligations of the buyer, selling and closing agent under FERTA? ¿Cuáles son las obligaciones del comprador, el vendedor y el agente bajo para una persona que es inversionista extranjero? ¿Cuáles son las obligaciones del abogado del agente bajo este programa? So go ahead.
So this is where it gets
Mhm.
specific, right?
Mhm.
Because ultimately, this is all FERPTA is always comes into play when we're dealing with a real estate transaction in some capacity. So the FERPTA Tax Act essentially puts the onus on the buyer to make sure that everything is satisfied with respect to FERPTA at closing. And the reason is because if there's nobody held accountable, they need to have the federal government wants something to go after, right? So what do they have to go after other than the dirt in the house itself, right? So that's why they choose the buyer, right? So what happens is buyers hire us to represent them in a real estate transaction. And really, it's on us as the closing attorney to make sure that all the protocols and procedures are followed to ensure FERPTA compliance.
Okay, so let's stop there. Entonces lo que él dice, prácticamente toda la responsabilidad cae en el comprador. O sea que si tu vendedor no tiene un estatus legal aquí en el país, está vendiendo su casa, el comprador, supongamos que el vendedor se va, todo el peso cae sobre el comprador. Por eso que ellos tienen el abogado, en este caso el abogado que te representa en la compra, asegurarse de que este vendedor pague sus impuestos necesarios y asegurarse que usted como comprador no esté afectado en este proceso.
So buyers entrust us to make sure that the process is followed so that they have no liability after closing, right?
Okay.
So what we do for every single person, every seller that comes to our office, whether we are working with the seller or they have their own separate attorney, we have them sign a FERPTA affidavit, right? And that FERPTA affidavit essentially states that they meet the requirement that they are either a citizen or a resident alien under FERPTA, okay?
So in this case, so let's say even if I come and I'm a citizen, you still make me sign that?
Yes,
Regardless.
absolutely. I will sign it. If I
Okay,
sell property, I
anybody.
will also sign that
Okay, so
document,
regardless.
yes.
Okay, entonces lo que él dice es que toda persona que venda su casa, si seas americano, ciudadano, residente, igual tendrías que firmar esta forma para ellos asegurarse pues de que si es que te van a colectar el dinero lo van a hacer, pero todos estamos obligados a firmar esta forma. Y en la forma te va a preguntar si eres ciudadano americano o si eres residente legal de los Estados Unidos, o si tienes pues el permiso, estatus legal para quedarte aquí. Okay, great.
And practically speaking, if the seller can't sign the affidavit stating that they are a U.S. citizen or a resident alien, then we have a FERPTA problem. So that's why we make sure it's signed before we close. If they can't sign that document, then we have to then take a step back and decide, okay, well, do you fall under the substantial presence test? And if not, then we have to do a withholding.
Ok, entonces generalmente le van a mandar al vendedor una hoja donde les preguntan si es ciudadano, si es residente, y si no puede contestar eso, entonces tienen que ir a otro recurso donde ver que hay presencia del vendedor en este país. And we're going to talk about that too, because I thought that was very interesting that when you and I talk about how to basically avoid or how to be able to retain your 15% without living and wait until the next year to declare your taxes and get the money back. Okay, so you say, what are the buyer's responsibilities in ensuring FERPTA compliance? So, ¿cuáles son las responsabilidades del comprador para asegurar que el cumplimiento de FERPTA? Y ya hemos hablado que cae mucho esto sobre el comprador, lo cual es ilógico, y él también está de acuerdo que es ilógico, pero de todas maneras, usted como comprador tiene que asegurarse que la casa que usted está comprando, especialmente a veces nos vamos y hacemos transacciones, mi amigo quiere vender su casa, le voy a comprar su casa, bueno, ahí tú tienes que asegurarte qué responsabilidades tú tienes y saber si tu amigo pues tiene un estatus legal aquí en este país. So again, what are the buyer's responsibilities in ensuring FERPTA compliance?
So the buyer's responsibility is to either, one, make sure that we get this affidavit, which is what we'll obviously assist the buyers with and make sure is complied with at closing. And if they can't get the affidavit signed, then they have to withhold the 15%.
Okay.
Right.
Entonces, usted como comprador, si usted está comprando, digamos, la casa de su amigo y usted sabe que su amigo no tiene su estatus legal aquí en el país, usted tiene que asegurarse de contratar un abogado, siempre un abogado, porque el abogado va a asegurarse que esta persona firme ese papel donde dice que se le va a retener el 15%. So, what about those people that they just want to go to a notary public? All my friends are going to tell me that how let's go to a notary public. Would that be something that people can do and then avoid FERPTA?
So I guess elaborate on the question. So if they wanted to sell their house and go to a different republic, like a different country,
Another republic, no, another republic here. Like if I buy my house from her and I just decide, you just sell me your house and I will just go to somebody just to, put the stamps and you can just go and record it yourself. Would that be possible?
Oh, interesting. So just avoid the closing attorney process.
Yes.
So high degree of risk for the buyer, right? Because ultimately it's on the buyer to ensure the compliance with FERPTA, right? Which is what we've already discussed. So the person who takes the risk in that situation would be the buyer. So if they try and we see it all the time where people try to avoid a realtor. They try to avoid
because it's too expensive.
It's too expensive.
That's what they always say.
But 15% of the gross purchase price. Let's just say, what's the average purchase price here in Charlotte? $350,000. What's 15% of that? Close to like $55,000-$60,000. That's a lot of money. So
and that's what I always say, people. Don't try to cut corners. Just pay the money. Make sure that you do the right transaction. Entonces la pregunta era por qué si una persona a veces, y he escuchado mucho esto, que quieren ir solamente con notario público, firmar y ya no usar un abogado porque a veces les sale muy caro. Bueno, la respuesta es que entonces ¿quién pagaría ese 15%? Usted, el comprador. Entonces usted siempre asegúrese de contratar un abogado para que esta transacción salga bien, sin problemas y usted no se tenga que cargar esta deuda que queda pendiente. Okay, so the next questions. Well, we talked about what are the consequences to the buyer or closing agent for no compliance. So the question here is, what are the consequences to the buyer or closing agent for non-compliance? Entonces la pregunta es, ¿cuáles son las consecuencias para el comprador o el agente del cierre por incumplimiento? So we talked a little bit about this already, that you say you don't collect the money, all that will be on the buyer's side.
It allows the federal government, the IRS, to place a federal tax lien on the buyer's property.
Okay, más simple no puede ser. Entonces, si, por ejemplo, el abogado se olvidó de colectar este dinero, todo esto va a caer al comprador en la propiedad que el comprador ha adquirido y le van a poner un lien, una deuda en esa propiedad hasta que se pague ese dinero, el 15%. Okay, so that was a quick question, answer. Okay, so how can the attorney protect their client, both buyers and sellers, from FERTA? Related penalties or necessary withholding. Okay, ¿cómo pueden los abogados proteger a sus clientes, tanto compradores como vendedores, en sanciones relacionadas con FERTA o de retenciones innecesarias?
So, what we do to ensure compliance for everybody involved is the FERPTA affidavit, of course, which is a standard part of every transaction that we handle. And then we're pretty alert to, in our introduction forms, we ask if you're a citizen or if you are a resident alien or if you have a green card. And if the answer is no, then we try and catch it on the front end early on in the transaction versus waiting until we get to the closing table. The requirements for us and what I think that a lot of attorneys should be working with is the FERPTA specialist that we've worked with in the past. This is their job. They have a full company entitled to FERPTA Solutions, and that is making sure that all of these statutes are complied with so that there is no penalty against the buyer. And so that's who we represent in the transaction.
Okay, entonces lo que él dice es que ellos se tienen que asegurar haciendo firmar el papel de FERTA donde dice si eres ciudadano residente. Tienen especialistas que se encargan solamente sobre este programa, les informan y les ayudan a poder hacer esta transacción mejor, donde pues el comprador, el vendedor, más que nada el vendedor no salga perjudicado en esta transacción, pero desde el primer momento que hacen contacto con el dueño le van a preguntar su estatus básicamente legal para que pues todo el problema más adelante se evite. So before we talked about who like in my case, right? Let's say if I'm a foreign investor and I live here 10 years, I have declare my taxes, I bought a property, I live in it, now I want to sell it. But I don't want to pay the 15%. How can I avoid that? Because we talked about something about presenting taxes or something like that. Can you elaborate?
The substantial presence.
That's right.
That's what, yeah.
Substantial presence status.
Substantial presence test.
Okay.
That is one of the exceptions to FERPTA. What it is essentially the statute says that if you've been in the country for at least 31 days in the current calendar year, in 183 days over the course of the last 2 years. They apply, it's kind of a complex formula, but they apply a certain amount of like a weighted average to those days, like 1/3 if it was a year ago and 1/6 if it was 2 years ago. Kind of a complex formula.
But I think we came out like with 3 years in total.
You've been there for 3 years until you meet the test, right?
Okay, entonces para evitar, digamos, pagar ese dinero, ¿no? Si usted es un inversionista extranjero, usted tiene que estar básicamente haber vivido acá 3 años. But then you also mentioned that you have to declare taxes for the past 3 years, right? Because they will check. Ok, entonces usted tiene que haber declarado impuestos en los últimos 3 años. Y digamos que si usted está vendiendo su casa ahora en enero, entonces el gobierno requiere que usted esté 31 días aquí en los Estados Unidos. Aparte de sus 3 años o 10 años, lo que usted esté viviendo en este país, usted tiene en adición. Si está vendiendo ahorita en enero, usted tiene que tener 31 días más en este país. O sea que si usted vende ahora en febrero su casa, usted va a estar bien. Pero le van a pedir sus impuestos de 3 años consecutivos. But you also mentioned that accountant, I think, has to write a present letter, something like that.
So that's the FERPTA specialist. That's the FERPTA solutions, right? So they'll actually do the analysis of whether or not the individual seller meets the substantial presence test. And one additional thing we'll add to this, and this is kind of a misconception that I've heard in the industry, is that if you are, let's assume the seller has not been here for the last 3 years, right? And they never even stepped foot in the United States, right? Let's just assume as a hypothetical. 15% is not just gone on the sale of the property, right? It's just capital gains taxes. So we have to send 15% to the federal government, but as long as that individual files their tax return, they would get that back in the form of a tax refund if they didn't have to pay the taxes. So it's not like it's gone to the wind and the federal government's never going to give it back. It's just file your taxes and you'll be able to get that back.
I'm going to go back to that, but let me translate
that.
Entonces, por ejemplo, si usted llegó a este país, usted vendió su casa, ahora está pagando el 15%, lo que va a pasar es que usted tiene que esperar ahora declarar, digamos, los impuestos del 2026 para que le devuelvan su dinero cuando usted declare sus impuestos, o sea que en el 2027 le van a devolver su 15%. El gobierno no se va a quedar con ese dinero. Lo que el gobierno quiere asegurarse es que usted pague sus impuestos que le corresponde de la venta de esa casa. Entonces aquí estamos en mi programa Buscando el Sueño Americano con Celia Estrada. Celia Estrada Realtor lleva más de 30 años ayudando a familias a ser propietarios de casa. Si tú estás pensando en comprar o vender, nos puedes llamar al 980-722-9298. Trabajamos los 7 días de la semana con cita. Y este programa se va a quedar grabado aquí en YouTube. Vamos a estar en Facebook. Dale un me gusta. Síguenos en nuestras páginas sociales, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, en Facebook. Ok, continuamos aquí con Miles Owens, que es abogado de bienes raíces. Si tienes alguna pregunta, nos puedes mandar un mensaje al 980-722-9298. So when you talked about the FERPTA specialist, you did say that they have to prove that you have lived in this country for 3 years. The way that to prove this is showing the taxes. So what happens if somebody now that is listening to this program, they say, okay, I'm going to declare my taxes. I haven't done it for the past 3 years, so now I'm going to do it all together. Would that person qualify?
It's a good question, and I don't know that I have the specific answer to that.
Well, I thought about that yesterday because a client called me. He said, well, Celia, I haven't declared my taxes. I'm going to do it all 3 together. But have you declared the previous year?
Right.
He said, yeah, but he just decided not to do it now.
I believe that actually shows like filing dates as well. Okay. So I don't think you can just go back and say, oh, I filed taxes the last 3 years. You know, if I did it all today, right? I think there's a bit more into that analysis as to. But I don't know for certain what, and that's why we defer that out to the FERPTA specialist because
they will have to call
it's their entire job.
Okay,
yeah,
they will have to they decide. Now, this FERPTA specialist, do they have? Is there an amount that they have to pay?
Yes.
Yes. Do they do consultation? Like if I call them, they talk to me over the phone.
They're very reasonable as far as like initial consultations and kind of giving that they. Of course, they can't give you a definite answer, and they're not going to write you a letter of like, hey, because ultimately what they do is they provide us a letter saying, as an IRS agent, I am certifying that the seller meets the substantial presence test. So it's something that we and the buyer can hang our hats on to say, like, we relied on the specialist to tell us whether or not this test has been met.
And how long does that take to, let's say, get a letter? If I'm a seller, I decide to sell, when do I start this process?
Well, as soon as possible you decide
Okay.
to sell, because the sooner you have it, the less likely it is to hold anything up.
Okay.
And similar to when you're buying property,
Mhm,
the FERPTA specialist or
Mhm.
whoever is doing that letter,
mhm.
it can only move as fast as the information provided to them, right? So sellers will have to, they'll give you the list of exactly what needs to be sent to them, and
Okay.
it's on the sellers to make sure they get that information.
Okay. Entonces le pregunté a aquellas personas, porque ya últimamente me están llamando y me dice una pregunta típica: Celia, me olvidé de declarar mis taxes o no declaré mis impuestos, ahora como quiero vender mi casa y no quiero que el gobierno me retenga el 15%, voy a hacer mis 3 años de taxes juntos. Entonces él dice, bueno, en este caso hay que llamar al especialista de FERTA, que esta persona es una persona que trabaja en el IRS, para que le consultes y te pueda dejar saber si vas a poder aplicar para para no pagar el 15%, porque recuerda que tienes que hacer acto de presencia por los últimos 3 años y tus impuestos van a determinar eso. Entonces la pregunta hacia él fue: ¿qué pasa si yo declaro todos mis impuestos juntos el mismo año para evitar? Entonces hay que llamar a este FERTA Specialist, te van a hacer un cobro, pero por lo menos vas a saber si te van a retener o no el 15%. Pero si lo retienen, recuerda que cuando declares tus impuestos al año siguiente, pues te van a devolver tu dinero que el gobierno ha retenido. Okay, great. Thank you for that answer, because that's very typical question that people say, well, I'm going to go ahead and declare my taxes now. I'm going to do this and trying to put everything in order, but it's good that they can just call this part specialist. Perdón, y si usted quiere vender su casa o está pensando en comprar su casa y usted cree que es un inversionista extranjero, él dice que hay que empezar a hacer los papeles inmediatamente de FERTA para asegurarte si tú calificas para que no te retengan el dinero, y de una vez empiecen a inspeccionar, a mirar tus impuestos de los últimos 3 años y ver pues si calificas y no tengas que devolver ese dinero o pagar ese dinero al gobierno o te retengan. Okay, so have you any cases whether you can tell us if you haven't, because I remember that we didn't enforce, or you guys didn't enforce that, or the attorneys didn't enforce that for a long time, and it seems like in the past 3 years or 4 years we start talking about this more.
About FERPTA?
Yeah, because I did not see many attorneys that did not return the money. So I know. So now, if let's say 4 or 5 years ago, what happens to these people? How long does a come in place? Because if I bought a house from a foreign investor 5 years ago and the attorney didn't return it because it wasn't enforceable, how long does the IRS have to come after me? As a buyer, the buyer.
As a buyer, yeah.
Yeah.
So, if I understand the question correctly, the IRS, and I can't speak for, since I've been in practice, which has been 7 years now. FERPTA has always been prevalent, and I've always had the process with the affidavits and making sure that there's been compliance for the buyers. So, as far as whether or not the government can come after buyers who predate the enforcement of FERPTA, I think that what we've seen, and I've only had a few calls with the IRS, normally they're about 1 year, 2 years behind whenever the transaction closes.
Okay.
So if for example, something happened in 2021, I've gotten a call from the IRS to say, hey, did you get a FERPTA affidavit from this individual on this transaction? We did, and they met the substantial presence test. We were good, nothing ever happened, but they called us about 1.5 years after the closing. So I think that if you're beyond that, 3-4 years, I think you're probably safe as a buyer to feel confident about the situation.
Okay. Entonces la pregunta era porque hace tiempo no recuerdo que colectaban o hablábamos de este programa FERTA y parece que en los 3 años, 4 años se ha empezado con fuerza. Entonces él me dice que, bueno, la pregunta es ¿qué pasa con esas personas que compraron casa a una persona que era una persona extranjera? Él me dice, bueno, generalmente en año y medio, si el IRS no los ha llamado a ellos, a los abogados, pues van a estar ustedes bien, sin problemas, ¿no? Solamente asegúrense que de hoy en adelante, pues, así aseguren que se hagan todos los papeles correctamente para que usted como comprador no salga afectado. So have you any cases here where that you guys forgot to collect the money, or you haven't had any problems like that?
We've had cases where someone may have lied on their affidavit,
See,
and
that's the question. Yes. So they lie. How do you know? Because if I have a social and I say, oh, you still have my permit.
it's good.
No.
Good question,
Uh-huh.
and usually the dead giveaway is the
Mhm.
identification provided at closing,
Mhm.
right? So if someone presents just a passport from Mexico, right?
Okay.
It's usually a dead indication that we should probably ask some questions as to whether or not they have a green card,
Okay.
right? But without really any indication, the buyer is protected,
Okay.
right? In the event that the affidavit is signed and we've relied on valid identification
Okay.
for the signature on that FERPTA affidavit.
Okay.
So buyer's protected, we're protected, as long as we don't have any indication
Mhm.
that the seller may not be a U.S. citizen, right? If we have indication, we got to ask questions,
Yeah.
right? And example is if we're presented like a Mexico passport, right? That's an indication we need to ask more questions.
Mhm. Okay.
But generally, buyer's protected with the affidavit as long as there are no other red flags.
What about somebody that did have a legal status, and now expire?
Mm-hmm.
So, and that person said, well, yeah, I am legal.
It's at the time of the conveyance of the property,
Okay.
right? So even if they were, or they were here legally, right, and it's expired, and now they're technically not. At that point, if they sell the property, then they would be subject to the FERPTA withholding.
So in this case, the FERTA especially will ask for, let's say, for the permit, the work permit.
Mhm.
In
Yes,
this case,
absolutely.
They will ask, and that's
Mhm.
how they will know
Yep.
if they're not. Okay. Entonces, mi pregunta era qué pasa con estas personas que tuvieron un permiso temporario y se les venció y están vendiendo su casa. Entonces él dice que esta persona de FERTA, el especializado, va a mirar, te va a pedir el permiso, va a mirar toda tu información y determinar si calificas para que no te retengan el 15% del dinero. Okay, I did ask you about if you had any issues, but how do you verify the seller's foreign or non-foreign status? ¿Cómo se verifica el estado extranjero o no extranjero del vendedor? Oh, because you say you already asked the paperwork for FERTA, and okay, so esta pregunta prácticamente la hemos hecho donde él verifica con los papeles que tiene que llenar el vendedor. You want to elaborate anything?
Yeah, just to reiterate, it is a safe harbor for the buyers, right? So it's IRS, even if they come calling and we have the affidavit and it's later determined the seller is not a U.S. resident, then buyer's protected.
Okay.
We're protected, everybody's okay. So IRS missed their opportunity, but everybody's protected, and that's the important part.
Okay. Aquí es proteger al comprador. Entonces, si tú estás comprando casa, asegúrate de contratar el abogado para todo el proceso, porque si estás comprando de una persona que es extranjero, te está vendiendo la casa, pues se tienen que asegurar que retengan el 15%, si no el comprador va a ser el perjudicado. Así es que tú como comprador, asegúrate de hablar con las personas correctas para asegurar de que el IRS no venga atrás tuyo y ponga una deuda en tu casa, un lien. Entonces, esa es la razón por qué estamos haciendo este programa. So, do you know how the FERTA withholdings amounts are calculated? ¿Cómo se calcula el monto que retiene FERTA? Do you have an idea how that works?
Yes. So it used to be that there was a difference between status, and it was 12 or 15% of the gross purchase price. Now it's just a flat 15% of the gross purchase price. So purchase price, 15% of it, that's the withholding amount that we have to send.
So if I sell my house $300,000 and I make $10,000 gaining, they're gonna give me the $300,000. The 50% they're gonna charge me out of the 15% out of that $300,000.
Exactly. So in this hypothetical, $300,000. The 15% of $300,000 is $45,000, right?
Okay.
So $45,000, and then your gains 10. Let's just say your taxable gain is $10,000, right?
Okay.
You will get back $35,000 from the federal government if you file your taxes.
But if if that's only my gain that I'm gonna make from the sales, $10,000, that's all my money I'm gonna make. How I'm gonna get $35,000?
So assuming that we are completing the transaction, right? We will have to withhold that $45,000. Basically, we have to send the $45,000 to the federal government, and then they will mark it in their system, and we'll actually provide the necessary form for the seller to complete as a part of their filing status. It's called a 8288-A. 8288. It's A or B. anyway, we'll provide the necessary form that they'll complete when it comes tax time, and they will have to, as a part of the filing the taxes, apply for those funds back. Hey, I only made $10,000 on this. That's my taxable amount. So I should only have to the capital gains tax, I think, is like 25%. So $2,500 roughly is how much should be taxable. So they should get, in that situation, about $42,500 back from the federal government after the taxes have been filed.
So when something like this happens, I guess it's better to talk to their accountant to see what
Absolutely.
to find out.
And if you have enough proceeds, if we have to do withholding, is there enough proceeds? Like if someone bought cash, like let's say you bought your $300,000 property for $290,000 in cash, right? You have enough money to essentially send the funds back to the federal government, and then you can apply for it later. If you get 100% financing at $290,000, you don't have $45,000 to send to the federal government. So at that point, you don't have the ability to sell the property.
Okay, so ya escuchar la respuesta se ha complicado un poco aquí. But let me ask you about this person, because the last time we talked about this particular seller that is a foreigner, and my buyer is also a foreigner investor. And you say because he's a foreigner investor, he had to pay the 15% unless the buyer can prove that he was going not to be an investor but live in the house. Otherwise, the seller will have to pay the 15% because my buyer was a foreigner investor.
Correct.
So when does that apply every time? Does the $300,000 apply for this foreigner seller? Or the 15% does not apply for the foreigner seller that wants to sell it to a foreigner buyer?
So the 15% is really, FIRPTA it's 15% across the board. If FIRPTA applies, it's 15%. FIRPTA doesn't apply, obviously no funds need to be withheld. In a situation where we're relying on an exception, right? Because if the seller is a foreigner, we know FIRPTA applies. Now we're looking for an exception. If for example, if the purchase price was under $300,000, the buyer also has to be using it as a primary residence in order for that exception to apply. If it doesn't, then we have to rely on the other exception, which is the substantial presence test.
Okay, so entonces mi pregunta hacia él es, ¿qué pasa si una persona que que foreigner investor, que está vendiendo su casa y ahora otra persona que también no tiene un estatus legal o también es un inversionista extranjero compra la casa de este inversionista extranjero? Generalmente oferta requiere que el cliente que va a estar comprando la casa viva en la casa, pero ¿qué pasa si esta persona está solamente invirtiendo en esta propiedad? Entonces le cobrarían el 15% al vendedor. Y él lo que dice, bueno, tendría que aplicar, en este caso tendríamos que ir con oferta y mirar que no aplique, si puede usar los impuestos o la presencia de que vive en este país por cierto tiempo, en este caso el vendedor, y que haya declarado sus impuestos en los últimos 3 años y bueno, ciertos requisitos, ¿no? Entonces, pero si quieres más información, nos puedes llamar al 980-722-9298 o llamar acá a las oficinas del abogado. You mentioned your number, it was 704-525-1702.
You got it.
Oh my God, I still remember. Ok, esto es todo por ahora. Si ustedes tienen alguna pregunta sobre oferta, pueden llamar acá al abogado. Acá hay una persona, you have somebody that speaks Spanish here that they can help the people, but also the oferta, do you know if anybody speaks Spanish over there?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so si ustedes quieren más información, siempre nos pueden llamar acá a la oficina del abogado, a Miles, o preguntar por Celia, que hay una persona que trabaja aquí que se llama Celia, igual que yo, al 704-525-1702, ese es el número del abogado, pero si nos quieres llamar a nosotros, quieres más información, nos puedes llamar al 980-722-9298 y espero que disfruten mucho de este programa y si tienes alguna pregunta sobre oferta, pues ya sabes dónde llamarnos. Thank you so much for being here and for the interview, and I'm sure I'm going to be interviewing you again
for
other topics.
Anytime.